So maybe I have to start with the introduction group, and then I have to talk about the challenge. So this is Ali. I'm one of the members of RTK Lab in Swinburne University. I'm project lead there. And these guys that you see here were previously were my students when I was back then when I was in RMIT. So I started to progressively select them based on their capabilities and smartness. And today we are going to tackle, at the beginning we wanted to tackle a second challenge, and then we found out that challenges are somehow related to each other, because we are thinking about a way to solve the limitations that we have accessing the content, which actually exist in all the challenges. So we are more precisely focusing on the second challenge, and a little bit first challenge, and a little bit the third challenge as well, the local challenge. And in terms of global challenge, we are using video API. So I invite Alex to describe our project.
Quiz time. So does anyone actually know how many people have colour blindness?
Most men.
Right. So it comes up to a total of 1.9 million just in Australia alone, and 8% of those is men, and 0.4% is just women. So you can see here that the most common one is red-green colour blindness, so they kind of see them in the same shade, and yeah. Anyone know how many people suffer from loss of vision? Census says around 357,000 Australians, and you can see that that goes away from just a slight loss of vision all the way down to legally blind. How about those with hardness of hearing? That should be about 4 million Australians, so that's about 1 in 6 people, and anyone here could have any one of these conditions. So what we aim to do is just give no limitations for people with limitations. What we do at Roya is we mainly aim to bridge the gap in communities, whether that be city, urban, or just mainly rural areas. They can be anything in general, from like football clubs all the way down to maybe if you want to help those volunteers for not-for-profit organizations, connect more with children when they give their time up, so the children can kind of reach out and maybe see videos that they've posted and stuff, so they can watch the videos whenever they want, when they need that help. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, team member Cheong with me, or explain how will we accomplish that?
Over here. Okay, before we start, actually, I think it's important to mention that with all of our use cases, what we're aiming for is we want everybody to be able to experience the same content without being barred from it because of their limitations, whether it be hardness of hearing, whether it's poor eyesight, anything else like that. At the moment, we're only looking at hardness of hearing and poor eyesight because we only had 2 days. So, start the video here. Sorry, what's that? This is where it is. So, in this video here, what we're going to see is we're going to see a small sensor on the elevator there, right side over there, and it acts as a proximity sensor. So it'll funnel content straight to your phone using our platform. So if we start the video here, you'll soon find that our friend Alex will walk out of the elevator because he was late for the TADHack. And it actually was this morning. It was actually very poor form. As you can see, oh, look at that. It's a text message from our platform. And found a video of everything he missed so far, and it has everything that he needs to experience the video fully. Right now it's just YouTube, but obviously if we had actually more than 2 days, we were fully implemented.
Okay, and also I have to add, the way that we see it is a kind of a spatial temporal kind of service. that when you enter any particular location and there are video and contents related to that particular location or context that you are in, and you want to have them because maybe because of some limitations you are slower, maybe because of the limitations you are a bit later, or you have some problem in terms of receiving them. So if there is a sensor like those Bluetooth off-the-shelf sensors that are, that was particularly from a Spanish company, and if I'm correct, which is actually, what it does is very simple. It just tells you how far you are from that particular location by using your mobile phone. So by putting those, and they are like around $15, $17 in Australia, so you can know that what is the exact location that you are, and we can give you services like the video contents that you can see.
That's it. In the second use case, business here, that's me, and there's Alex over there having a video chat, but Alex actually has a form of color blindness. So by using Video's API, what we've done is we've actually slightly intercepted the stream so that we can apply whatever filter or whatever extra support a user might need. I'm not going to talk too much about that because it's not my expertise, but
okay.
If sort of here,
so what I can add here is this is the second approach, the second use case that we have, and in this use case, what we do is we try to understand the limitation of the person. Like we didn't include the UI of the mobile app that we had, so we have a UI that you can select the colors, and by selecting the colors, we can know that you are blind to some particular colors. And we try to replace them, and with the discussion that we had with the video API, what we're trying to do, we are collecting the data, the raw data from the video, we process them, and we replace the colors. The second use case that we wanted to have, and we didn't have time to finish it, was the subtitles. What will happen if you have limitation in terms of hearing, and you can use the subtitles. So we have an engine that will add the subtitle to the video on the fly.
Sorry to interrupt, we're at about 6
Sure.
minutes 30, so.
It's all good.
Sure.
Thanks.
No.
This is the third use case. What we've done here is we've actually integrated our platform with extra data and extra sensors like you might receive from a smartwatch, say. In this case, Sonya is actually exceeding the recommended heart rate. So if you're...
Yeah, so this is the third use case that we have. And here what we're trying to do is a kind of the IoT approach that we want to try to collect data from the person. Here what we're collecting is just see it as a heart rate, as simple as heart rate. And Sonya is doing some exercise, and we're collecting the data, and we know based on the location and based on the heart rate, she's not doing that properly. And this is the way that we are trying to react to that. So this is, in terms of the scope and the time of the hackathon, this is what we could implement and demonstrate in 2 days. And June and Sonya are going to briefly talk about the platform, and they're here to answer your questions if you have any.
Okay, mainly we can see actually we divide 3 different parts to our framework. The first one is the sensor and their management system. And then we will have our own Roya platform to cooperate with different third-party cloud platform to make our service more easier. And then we, of course, we need to have the third-party service can provide us a very powerful and flexible ability to solve or to achieve our goal. So mainly our platform is to cooperate with different platforms, and that's why we need a very powerful cloud platform to help us to do this, like Oracle. And mainly we will have machine learning inside. For example, what we did is like we need to detect whether you have a disability. And we also need to know your location or store your location or analysis your location and give you some response. And what response we can give is like, for example, you are talking with your friends outside on the street. Maybe you watch someone dancing on the street, you want to show this video. It's not that secure. So you can send the video directly to them. But when I'm in my office room, I want to talk with my boss. Of course, the text needs to be secure. I don't want any other to disclose my message.
Thank you. And Sonia, can you please explain?
And our platform can communicate with people through the textual messaging API. So platform can send the SMS message to the end user when they don't have internet connection.
Okay, so just to conclude, what we did is we tried to propose a platform that is small in terms of the proof of concept, but can be extended in terms of future directions. And we started to use some capabilities and learn how we can extend current products and API that we have around us. And I have to say thank you for the opportunity as well. Thank you. If you have any questions, I think he's not here, so if you have any questions.
Yeah. I figured I was training people to ask questions.
In terms of getting the application running, how did you go with that?
Well, what do you mean? Which part of the
Like
application?
you've shown us a couple of slides. Did you actually get a working prototype running?
Yes, so in terms of, you mean the scope of the implementation we have?
Yeah.
Right. So the problem that we had, we started to integrate the API that you provided to us, but the problem that we had was you don't have the part of the API that we can access to the raw data in the Java implementation. At least you don't have the documentation. So we didn't have any other choice to switch to C, which was a bit late. It was around like midnight last night, and we couldn't switch to that one. So what we did for the prototype, we tried to collect the video and regenerate another video out of it and send it back to the next one, which is not real time. Yeah.
Was that to pick out the color characteristics of the video in order to adjust it?
Yes, yes. But we are also dummy and agnostic at the moment, so we are not like the way that we change the color. I think we have two hard-coded change of color. So as you can see in the video, so it's not a kind of like professional scientific thing because we didn't have a kind of use case that would tell us that I cannot see this. Can you replace this because I can't see this? These are the things that were out of the scope of this proof of concept. But in terms of the scope that we can do it, I think we could show that we can do these sort of things and this sort of application very easily with the current platform. And in addition to that, I think Jun briefly mentioned that we had planned to use other APIs, like metrics. Maybe we can have like more secure situation, like for example, in terms of the things that's happening in one specific location. As you remember from the first scenario, when we are like broadcasting some content, we don't need security, but what will happen if you are inside this place and we want to broadcast a meeting? So we had that plan to do it, but it was out of the scope. Yeah.
Do you think if you'd actually focused on one challenge instead of trying to cover three, it actually would have been more?
Actually, if you see it, we tried to regenerate the challenge out of the three challenges, and we are focusing on that. And as I said, like what we saw is we have people with limitation. This limitation can come from children, can come from very old people, or it can come from people with some diseases and sicknesses. How we can solve it? So we need to give a solution that can be as simple to implement and useful to as well. So we try to do that, which is just the challenge that we are covering, which has relation with the three challenges that we have.
Yeah, perfect. One last one. You actually brought up some really good use cases around sort of, especially disability in terms of the colour filtering for blind people. There's voice to text recognition.
Yep.
That kind of stuff is going to become very important with the NDIS and some of the disability stuff we've got coming up. Using our platform, it's potentially a viable solution to satisfy some of the requirements around those healthcare environments. So it's something that's probably worth pursuing.
Sure.
Speak with us about the raw frames and how to handle that.
Yep.
But yeah, there is a lot of funding to
Yes.
solve issues around disability from the NDIS that are worth considering.
Yeah, and maybe I can add, like in terms of investment, other than the companies, we have a lot of investment coming from the governments in the joint projects between the universities and commercial companies. That if you would like, we can discuss later.
A quick question.
Sure.
Your raw from Is it that operating system or what?
Okay, so actually we skipped that part because of the timing, the warning that we had for the time. So the platform that we have, the idea that we had was we have 3 ways of processing the data in the middle, and it's coming from the discussion that we had yesterday. So one way of doing that is to put the processing engine directly in the cloud, which is a typical way of solving the scalability and processing limitations. The second one, we wanted to use the Raspberry Pi as a gateway. Not as a gateway, as a processing engine that can be connected to the internet. So what will happen is when I have my mobile phone and I want to watch a video, very simple use case. When I send this request, it goes to the router. What will happen if the router, instead of sending that to the server, I'm just making it so simplified, send it to the Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi will request the video and will process it and send it to me again. So this is the second approach, and the third one that we wanted to consider was the point-to-point approach, very simple one, that if I have a mobile phone that can do processing, I can do the processing here, which is the one that we use for the prototype.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.